Hey guys, it's Mike from Orgil's Orchids, and today we're going to be repotting a couple Nepenthes Lady Lucks. These guys have been in these pots for about a year now, and this guy, it's about time to put into a hanging pot. This guy over here, yeah, he doesn't necessarily need to be into a hanging pot. He could stay in the same size pot, but we're going to put him in a hanging pot that's a little bit smaller. But with the hard water down here in South Florida, we have to repot at least once a year, just because the calcium buildup will eventually kill them, and we have very, very, very hard water. Um, our potting mix for Nepenthes is pretty simple. We use sphagnum peat moss mixed with regular sphagnum moss that you could buy from any orchid shop. We do 2 parts of sphagnum peat moss to 1 part sphagnum moss. With the Nepenthes, we do about 1 part of perlite we mix in there because they need drainage. If you can't find perlite or it's expensive, because sometimes it can be, cypress mulch is a good stand-in for the perlite. You want to use the big chunks of cypress mulch, and must be cypress mulch. You don't want colored mulch. You don't want regular landscaping mulch because they'll come with additives and stuff that will cause you problems. A lot of people will try to use pine chips. If you can manage pine chips, then so be it. But we don't recommend pine chips because they'll produce ants. They'll produce somewhere else for the scale that affects these plants to hide. They'll also cause mold and rot and that sort of stuff. But let's dive in. Let's get started. We have our hooks here for these hanging pots. These hanging pots we found on Amazon. I'll give you guys a link. Another thing we found on Amazon that we use a lot is these metal tabs that we inscribe the names of the plants on. So these are Nepenthes Lady Lucks, like I said. They're a mix between an Ampullera and a Ventricosa. We have a Ventricosa behind us over here. You might be able to see it hanging in the tree, blowing in the breeze right now. It's a little windy. Do not have an Ampullera. I had one at one point in time, and I think one of those hurricanes took it. But anyways, getting started here. Now, I mix them into a 5-gallon bucket. 5-gallon bucket's good because it's very difficult to make sphagnum peat moss hold water if you don't mix it wet. If you mix the sphagnum peat moss dry, the water doesn't really seem to attach to the peat moss very well. But as you can see, I got the perlite in there. We have the peat moss, and we have the sphagnum moss pieces are in here as well. All right, we're going to start with the little one. Pretty simple. They do not have a very good root system. They are not known for having good roots, so we don't have to worry too much about their roots. It is necessary to be a little delicate with them because roots are necessary, but if you hurt them or if you pull it out and you break off some of the roots, it's not going to hurt it very much. There's a lot of orchids out there that if you break the roots off, you're going to have issues. We call these good orchid companions, but they're not exactly like orchids. They're obviously breed of their own. Okay, so you're going to put it in there. You want to make sure it's nice and full because the peat moss will compact over time. Over the course of a year, you'll lose quite a bit of volume, especially down here. And then plus we get a lot of rain. It is our rainy season right now. We're just beginning hurricane season, and you'll lose a lot of your potting medium to just the rain. I'm not a very clean potter. That's why we do this outside, not inside. All right, so we're going to take this guy. We're going to pull him out. Just kind of reach in and grab him. All right. Now, as you notice, these pots I'm using, they're self-watering pots. That means that they have a little tray inside that holds the dirt up, and there's a little water reservoir. You want to make sure that if you do buy self-watering pots, that they do still have a drain hole. Okay, you can use self-watering pots on Nepenthes. It's not a big deal. What you cannot do to Nepenthes is leave it in water. If you leave it in water, you will get root rot, you will get rhizome rot, you will get all kinds of rot. All the rots. Put this down so you guys can see what I'm doing. I'm just breaking the dirt ball up. Get in here, I'll show you some of its roots. That's the plant. Okay, as you can see, the roots aren't necessarily that great. While we're in here, we're going to be looking for things like scale. We're going to be looking for things like rise for rot, for anything that might require some sort of treatment. You don't see any scale. Sometimes when you use perlite, the perlite can be confused as scale. If you look closely here, you can see that you get these little white dots. I do know a couple guys that will use sand and that sort of stuff. The sand, same thing. When you pull it out, it's amazing how white it stays in years. Okay, so what I'm going to just do is I'm going to use my fingers just to kind of make a hole in the dirt, and then press it together just like so. Okay, if you lose some of the dirt, go ahead and replace it from your bucket that you made. Sprinkle a little bit on top, but it looks like it might be a little low. All right, now this is good because what we'll be able to do is we can hang them up, and that'll get them away from some of the ants and that sort of stuff. Okay, this pot is reusable. Sometimes with orchids, when you repot, the pots are not reusable. With carnivorous plants, for the most part, the pots are reusable, so we do not throw those away. All right, on to the big pot. Grab my bucket. Put down here. Big chunks. Keep an eye out. There will be a video coming out soon about me making the Nepenthes potting medium. A lot of guys use different potting medium for the Nepenthes than they do for their Sarracenias, for their Drosseras, which are sundews, for their Venus flytraps, and the Panguiculas, which is butterworts. Everybody uses just straight sphagnum moss if you use a potting medium, other than a couple of wattings from Utriculata. But I tend to use the same potting mix for almost all of them. Kind of tried and true. Plus, like I said, down here with our water, I end up having to replace the potting mix every year, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is. I do know some guys that will go to the store and will buy RO water. Some guys that'll use an RO filtration system. All right. Got the pot here. Oops. A little issue with its little water liner. Let's see if I can fix that. Best to fix it now, and after I get the plant. Okay, cool. Great. All right, so we're going to take this plant here. Just dive in. Another thing to note as I'm putting this one in is you'll notice that we don't use, for our Nepenthes, I don't put them in clay pots. I don't put them in wood baskets. The reason for that is they dry out very quickly. Nepenthes do not like to be dry. You have to keep them wet at all times. They are from a rainforest where it rains every day at 2 o'clock, maybe 3. Could be wrong. But if they don't get that rain, and they're not at home, and they won't be doing well. Okay. So these guys came from Amazon. Like I said, there'll be a link in the description, also on our website, for the Amazon pots. Also came as a set of 2. One smaller than the other, which was actually perfect for this situation, as you could tell. I'm going to have to do a video on how to set up a hanger. Let's double check if I'm going that one. Okay. Alright, I'll just have to show you guys on camera how I did that. Not sure that's how you do it, but that's okay. What I'm going to do, I'm going to take the hook that holds it with the wire here, and I'm just going to snap it out. Easier said than done sometimes. Okay, now I have the 2 pieces. Put this to the side. Make sure you guys can see it. Just going to hold it there. Take this wire, chain, I guess it's chain, and push it back into place. Okay. do that for all three. I'm going to go ahead and do that for all three. I don't see having to. Alright, so I got tired, and I cheated. Okay, and I got a tool. Alright, I won't judge you if you go and get a tool, but also the other thing about these big ones, they're a little hard to fish the chain through the eye of the hook. So now I'm pulling them apart mid-chain, just pulling some of the links of the chain. Doesn't really matter where. Maybe about a 6 inches of chain worth, pulling it apart. Make it a little easier to fish the eye through. Alright, and that's that. Nice and easily, touch the weight. Yeah. Very nice. Alright guys, that will wrap this video up. Like, subscribe, or whatever they say. We will be producing more videos and stuff. If you guys like it, let us know in the comments below so that way we can make some more for you. And have a good weekend.